Mere weeks ago, the beautiful performance that you're about to see tonight did not exist. Our ensemble, along with our incredible production team, has worked together to create the performance you're about to witness, based on the stories, life experiences, talents, and interests of the people in the room.
Don't ever be afraid to say yes. This is Pierre Andre bringing you Little Orphan Annie, sponsored by Ovaltine, the Swiss food drink. Bright eyes, cheeks a rosy glow, if you want to know. Arson.
We've got quite the lineup of neighborhood regulars for Pothole Street siempre cuando era niña tenía muchas amigas y me gustaba mucho jugar, nos gustaba mucho jugar con las muñecas.
I loved playing with dolls. When I was a girl, my favorite baby doll was Sweetie Pie.
La mía se llamaba mi muñeca.
I learned how to care for her from my mother, who gave me the dolls.
Veía a mi madre cómo cuidaba a mi hermano y así también yo lo hacía con mi muñeca.
I learned how to care for her from my mother because I thought she knew everything.
Pensaba que mi madre sabía todo, entonces hice todo lo que hizo.
Sweetie Pie was very demanding.
Mi muñeca era muy bonita.
I would sew clothes for her. She was very well dressed.
Le cambiaría el pañal.
I changed her diaper, fed her, birthed her, and put her down to nap and fed me just for her.
Siempre quería estar con mi muñeca. Me encantaban las mejillas rosadas bonitas.
Sweetie Pie was a little overweight, great to cuddle, and very smart. But best of all, she was mine. I want to hold her.
No, es mi muñeca.
Mi padre siempre me decía que cuando yo me sintiera mal o me saliera algo mal, que no me devolviera, que siempre siguiera hacia adelante.
My father told me from a very young age that in life, when I feel upset, sad, angry, or whatever challenge it may be, that I shouldn't turn around and go backwards, always forward and good. Siempre hacia adelante.
It takes a lot of patience to be a mother.
Es realmente muy duro.
I didn't realize how young my mother was.
Mi madre siempre tuvo, y nunca lo supe, sus propias decisiones.
I never realized she might have dreams of her own.
I dreamt that I was Tinkerbell. All you need is faith and trust and just a little pixie dust. Tinkerbell was my favorite character from Peter Pan. I loved her wings and her fairy magic dust. I was so inspired that I thought maybe I could fly too. One day, I was alone outside with a blue umbrella. I stood at the edge of the porch 5 or 6 feet above ground. I could fly! Maybe I need a different umbrella.
Locomotive is the largest steam locomotive plant in the country, and so outside of Lima was a line of locomotives that were brought back to the plant because they couldn't be used.
Well, it was the third year of the Great Depression when 26% of the workers in the country were jobless. We had lived in Lima, Ohio for a year where my father had obtained a job with the Firestone One-Stop Service Station, and we lived out in the outskirts of Lima, fairly close to the Pennsylvania mainline railroad tracks. Well, school was over. Second grade was over. And it was summer vacation. My parents said, don't go near the railroad tracks. Stay away from the Pomo jungle. Oh. This required an 8-year-old like me to do some investigation. So my buddy and I went down by the railroad tracks and by this bunch of trees that must have been in the jungle and waited till a train came by, and 3 or 4 old guys, old geezers, jumped off the train, They had beards and funny haircuts and ran into the woods. Well, as it turned out, these were not old geezers. They did remind me of some of the guys that every once in a while knocked on our rear door asking for some food. But they turned out to be young men, homeless, jobless, whose parents couldn't afford to keep them at home. Anyway, later on, as it turned out, they were not old geezers, and they were just kids.
Ha! Growing up in the south side of Chicago in the late 40s and early 50s was wonderful. The center of it all was high school. The activities, the clubs, the new friendships, the dating by streetcar, the dances, the parties, the honors, the challenges, the success. All of this was within a strong family code of conduct. No drinking, no smoking, and no sex. Well, I graduated and went on to a streetcar junior college in Chicago. And by living at home with my parents and working part-time jobs at $1.25 an hour downtown, I was able to afford my junior year at the University of Colorado.
Wow.
Boyfriend, Bill Lamont, was there on a football scholarship. So in 1953, I came over that hill to beautiful Boulder and lived in a boarding house on the hill. Whoa, was that wild? The partying, the drinking, the constant smoke, and the sex. I said to Bill,
I cannot live here. I cannot be around these people.
Joni, you've got to accept that not everybody lives and thinks the way you do.
I cannot. They are absolutely... I cannot. I have to leave.
You would leave CU? You've got to accept that people aren't perfect, but they all have good in them.
I can't do that.
Well, you either have to grow up or goodbye.
oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Now I was really shocked. Could I? Or was I? Can I be flexible? Well, that was pretty good advice for me and Bill in the 65 years we were married.
Sure am, more to deal.
All right, you want to play Go Fish?
Sure. I love Go Fish. When I was growing up, I played this lots of days with my brothers and sisters.
Oh, is that so? How many kids then were there in your family, like all together?
There were 4 kids, and we lived with my grandfather, so there were 7 of us at dinner. And, you know, it got a little tricky because my grandfather had his prejudices. No Italian food in the house.
Wait, not even like pizza?
But he mellowed eventually and we had spaghetti. Yeah, you know, it was fun around dinner because there were 7 of us. We talked about our day and caught up. It was good.
Yeah, that's good. I think, though, that now conversations have mellowed out. You know, they're less formal.
the parent comes home and it's like, how was your day, honey? And the kid goes, oh, I don't know. You've seen it.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think we can do better than that. What if whoever says go fish asks the other person a question? And I mean a question.
Oh, sure. I'll see what happens.
Okay, do you have an name?
Go first. I get to ask the first question. Let's see. Oh, yes. What was dating like when you were my age?
Well, it was more formal. The boy called the girl, and then he came to the house to meet the parents.
So the parents were like, who is this kid anyway? Who are your parents? What do you like to dress like? What do you plan to do with the rest of your life?
Exactly, that's where it was with the poor guy. And that's even if it happened at all, because my father was in the business of scaring away all the suitors for his 3 daughters. So we would rush to the phone. If it was for us, he'd be standing there, for example, if I got the phone, 5 minutes.
Ooh, that guy better get his nerve up quick.
Okay. And then, if I went over to 6 minutes, I'm gonna pull the plug from the wall! And if he got it first, that was the disaster. Because the poor guy was, Jack who? Please identify yourself.
I can see that, but I think dating as well has gotten less formal, It's less of find out who I want to be with for the rest of my life, and more of I'm just going to do it because why the heck not?
I bet you want a card from me.
Oh yes, I was thinking you have a 7.
I would have to say on that, go fish. And a question for you. What has it been like to grow up with all this technology?
I don't know. It's different. It's different. It's yeah, it was pretty old actually when I got my first phone.
Angel, poor child. I was 41.
Times changed, but still now even little kids have phones. And like I saw a 2-year-old the other day. He had a 16-inch iPad, headphones on, looked at it for the better part of an hour. He didn't even know I was in the room. Like, people are like hermit crabs. They take these little tiny scumbling steps and they bump into something and go, oh, sorry. Sorry. Again.
I know, because we're attached to our phones. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Exactly.
Do you have a Jack? I am so sorry. I'm very sorry. It's off. So we'll do that again. Do you have a Jack?
Go for it. Well, on the complete opposite of that, what was it like to grow up without technology?
Well, it wasn't exactly without technology. It was just very old-fashioned technology. Like you had a manual typewriter, you had to type a paper on. If you made one mistake, you had to retype the whole page. When I was first a teacher, you walk into the teacher's room, there's this big round cylinder. It smelled horrifying, like piercing chemical smell of rotten fish.
Oh, God. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on the contrary-ish, not to be too philosophical, but I think, we are way too hard on the planet than we think we are, One plastic bottle will be in the system for another 500, 600 years. And the same person that wrecks swamps and forests and builds 7-story apartment buildings that sell for millions goes home and they eat a healthy dinner and they put their stuff in the trash and compost recycling and they're like, oh, I'm very truly helping the planet. Everybody knows that. But they're not.
Well, you're right. You screwed it up and the planet's a mess and you gotta do something about it.
Yeah. You got names?
I would have to say,
What?
go fish. Would you like to go fishing?
Wait, like outside?
Outside!
Right now?
Oh, yeah.
What's your attitude to? Why not? Come on, let's go. Let's go. What are you waiting for?
One night we were at this beach restaurant, and there's so many amazing things to do there, like having ice cream and snacks while you lay on the beach and look at the beautiful stars, and playing volleyball and mini golf, despite the mosquito bites. This night was late, about 2 a.m. Me and my mom were playing mini golf, and we were getting tired, so we decided to bike home. Really, I thought that everyone would have been asleep, but I was so wrong. There were so many things happening. Like people playing basketball to tennis, to listening to street musicians play music for late night event. We came home and I realized that people simply enjoy hanging outdoors super late in the summer in Cynthia.
We have journeyed from El Salvador to Argentina, the UK, and Tennessee.
From the south side of Chicago streets to New York City, to Boulder, to Redstone, Carbondale, and Glenwood Springs.
Reading the water, flying over land, we have journeyed down rivers, across railroad bridges, over rocky mountains, and under prairie skies.
High Plains sky. Way out here in Kansas, the hemisphere sky comes all the way down to the ground, all the way around. A periphery studded with silo silhouettes, an encircling stage with cow and tractor sets. Drive under the rising sun till you leave away behind, and still
shovel, riding horseback without a saddle.
Pigtails and performances, stepping onto the soccer field.
The rush of rapids, the thrill of aviation, the taste of Ovaltine, and the perfect summer captured for eternity in 3 pounds of brain meat.
We're in Canada now, Mom said. Sending laughter through us, all 6 of us, bunched like bananas in the car. We had left behind the neighborhood kids playing kickball on a steaming street, and the houses stacked like cards in the deck. Overhead, the Canadian flag waved us on. Beneath us, the Niagara River flowed. We headed toward big sky, open field, and the tremendous cool waters of Lake Erie. At the cottage, we bounded from the car to the store. 25 cents off licorice pipes and everlasting Big Daddy suckers. All sugared up, we flew to the lake where we splashed and dumped each other silly. After pelting sand, bobbing each other, we swam fiercely to wash off the year of homework, to erase the dinner table of sparse food and the tension over Dad's strike. We were in Canada now, and it was going to be all sunshine and bike rides, wild raspberries, spaghetti dinners, climbing Big Tree, and walking on the crescent beach that stretched before us forever.
Alone or with our families, we have made fierce U-turns and learned to move on.
Wearing floral bike helmets, paddling kayaks and rafts, despite our fears of water and flying.
And injuries and long needles, we've put down roots and pulled them up.
Goodbye, Redstone. I gotta go. Need lower elevation. Need urbanization. I love you, Redstone. Valley, village, and people. I've loved you for half a century. Whenever I traveled out, I was glad to get back. There is no better place. And there are no better people living through sadness and joy and disagreements tooth and nail, but always united in our tiny mountain village. I'm leaving Redstone, but not going far. Only 18 miles down the valley. Carbondale is a good place too. And I'll see you all as you pass through.
Over the course of our lives so far, we have overcome staples and stitches, separations and losses, injuries and obstacles.
Now together we look forward to the discovery of the adventure that is yet to come.
I have owned several sailboats in my life, but 25 years ago, I decided I needed one more. I wanted something larger than the others, something upon which 2 or 3 people could spend several days in comfort. So it needed berths, it needed a galley, it needed a head, and it needed to be light enough to be towed to water. So I started a search for such a boat and looked at all the ads I could find of everything for sale and everything being manufactured, but nowhere did I find exactly what I wanted. So I decided to build that.
All hands on deck.
To start the process, I engaged the services of a naval architect to come up with a plan. And we had various conversations wherein I would tell him what I wanted and he would tell me what was possible. After several months, he finally produced for me a plan, and when I reviewed it, it looked exactly what I wanted. So I got ready to build. First, I had to get the materials. That included 50 sheets of marine plywood. It included several thousand tiny bronze nails and epoxy glues to hold it together and fiberglass. And most of all, I had to have a place to work and a helper. And there I was fortunate in that I have a friend, John Stickney, who agreed to help. And we started to work. Well, every once in a while, or actually fairly often, we wouldn't know what to do next. We'd study the plan, but neither of us were professional or even experienced carpenters. So we would get stumped. But every time we were stumped, something magic happened. I would go to bed not knowing what to do next, and as if an angel visited me in the night, I'd wake up in the morning knowing how to go forward. So that we did, John and I. Now, John had a bad shoulder and could not lift his right hand higher than his shoulder. So we divided up the work. John took the low work, and I took the higher work. And we kept carrying on. Finally, by the year 2000, we had finished a 26-foot sailboat. We named her Sapphire and decided that for her maiden voyage, we would go to Lake Mead. Now, incidentally, in the year 2000, that was probably the last time Lake Mead was full. It's been draining like an unplugged bathtub ever since. Well, we had our apprehensions. This boat, nothing built to this design had ever been on the water. So it was somewhat experimental as we sailed out onto Lake Mead. And our apprehensions proved well-founded. Sapphire was top-heavy. And with all sails set, even a moderate breeze would cause her to heel way over. But she was well enough designed that she didn't flood and sink. But still, this was intolerable. We got out to cure it. And we kept adding more and more and more ballast. And after an additional 1,000 pounds of lead, Sapphire became stable, and in fact was never knocked down again. I moved Sapphire to San Francisco Bay, kept her there 2 or 3 years. A wonderful place to sail, absolutely predictable conditions, and of course a beautiful area. After that, I took Sapphire to the Sea of Cortez, and again, an incredible area. Wildlife, you can't believe, whales and dolphins and porpoises and pelicans, and a wonderful place. And there I was able to stay aboard Sapphire in comfort for up to 3 weeks. It was great. But eventually I sold Sapphire, and her next port was on Lake Michigan. So she was there several years, and then somebody bought her who lived in Texas, and she moved from Lake Michigan to Port Aransas, Texas, on the Gulf Coast. Just recently I learned that Sapphire, now 23 years of age, is in Buzzards Bay in Massachusetts. And I called that owner, I tracked him down and had a conversation with him, wherein he told me that Sapphire was absolutely sound after all these years, which is pretty remarkable for a plywood boat. But she's doing fine, and he sails her out to Martha's Vineyard, an island off the coast of Massachusetts. Projects like this, as this one did, proved to be twice as difficult and take twice as long as you ever imagined when you started. And so as a result, this country is littered with many half-finished and abandoned boats. And Sapphire well could have ended up in that state. Could have been half-finished and then, after sitting around for 2 or 3 years, hauled to the landfill. But with the help of John Stickney, we were a good team. We kept going. I'm proud of the fact that we finished Sapphire. And for that, I give thanks to my good friend, John Stickney.
Over 50 years ago, I started dating a man that I really liked. And he told me after about 5 or 6 dates that there were 2 things that he liked to do. And if I couldn't enjoy them, then I shouldn't be hanging out with him. So I said, okay, what are they? Well, number 1 was whitewater rafting. I said, I love rafting. I was raised on the Roaring Fork River. I love anything to do with water, and I would love to do that. Well, truth be told, I had never been on a rafting before. I was scared to death of water, and I couldn't swim.
The first time I kayaked in my own boat, I was really excited, but also a little nervous. Usually I had my mom or dad or someone much more experienced at kayaking with me in the boat.
Well, about 5 months later, he invited me to go on a 5-day trip on the Yamba and Green River. And there were going to be 20 other people, and we were going on these big, old, black, ugly, heavy Army assault rafts. And it took like 12 men to put one in the river. But I accepted because I thought it was going to be great. But each one had a big wooden oar frame.
So I made my own boat, and it's a beautiful day. We're on this big river in a big room. The water's nice and glassy, and we're all just paddling along. And then we come to this big turn. And on the other side of this big turn is this big rapid. And in that moment, I thought it was the biggest rapid ever.
We were on the river for 4 days on the Yamba, and everything was going along. The river was pretty quiet and pretty calm. The canyons on that river are just incredible. They're so beautiful. And on the 5th day, we were on the Green River, and we came to this rapid called S.O.B. Imagine why it's named that.
Well, everywhere I look, there are giant rocks and huge waves.
We get to S.O.B., and we go over along the river. And starts to jump out of their boats, and they're all out looking, checking out the line that they're going to take down the rapid. And while they're doing that, I thought, you know what? I've been in the back of the boat this whole trip. I'm going to see what it's like to ride the boat. The couple that was riding that had been in the front, if they'd mind trading with me, and they said, no, they'd love to. That would be fine. So I climb up on the orphrey, and they're in the back, and everybody gets in their boats, and they start down. And my husband, what's my husband yet? Anyway, he starts pulling away from the bank, and we're, getting in line to go down into the current, and we're going down, down, down.
When I start down, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way I'm making it to the other side.
Well, all of a sudden, we're going down, and all of a sudden, whack! We hit a rock. And the boat stopped, and I didn't. And I went into it. I was so scared. I was so terrified. And the water was cold. And I went under the boat, and I came up on the back side. And he was standing there just waiting for me. And he grabbed me by the life jacket and pulled me up, just threw me in the back of the boat.
Somehow, I make it to the other side of the rapid. Everyone does. So we pull over on this little island to regroup. And I'm the last to dock because I was the last to go down the rapid. And that's when I start having a difficult time trying to get out of my kayak. Right there, at the shore, about to dock, when I just slid right over in my boat.
Well, I'm laying in the back of the boat, and they, the other three, are rocking and rolling and rocking and rolling, trying to get the boat off the rock. We're still stuck on this big rock. And finally, they get it free, and I'm still laying there scared to death. And he starts pushing off, and we start going down the river.
Fortunately, I know how to climb out of the kayak underwater. So I come out soaking wet with this look of shock on my face.
Well, I laid in the back of the boat as we're going down, and I thought, you know what? I went out in a rapid. I went in the water, and I am still alive. I didn't get hurt, and I'm not scared anymore. And I think I like rafting. That started very my years of rafting with my husband, and I'm still alive.
It's funny thinking back on that trip today. It's crazy how small, the rapids actually were. And it wasn't even the rapids that threw me out of my kayak. It was the simplest thing, just trying to get out, that threw me out of my boat.
Are you still rafting?
I am. I love it.
I do too. You know.
Then when I turned 18, I went into the Navy and was there until the war ended. And I took advantage of the GI Bill of Rights and went right into the University of Michigan. So the next summer, I decided to take off, and devote myself to reorienting myself to civilian life. Well, everything was going fine until I got pleurisy. And I had to stay in bed until it was over. But one evening, Carol walked in with a bowl of hot soup. And that's how we got reacquainted. 2 years later, we were married. I had 3 years yet to go at the University of Michigan. But after 6 years at U of M, I came out with a wife, 2 degrees, 2 kids. And I've had the happiest married life for 68 years. And I think, was it all due to pleurisy?
It must be the warehouse in me.
It must be the moon seat in me.
It must be the gallery in me.
It must be the ocean in me.
7-day cruise.
Messy bedroom.
Empty garbage brain.
20 sleepless nights.
Dancing in a hurricane.
Attempts to organize.
Only what is precious.
Broken music on the water.
Go deeper into thunder.
I've been told I have a daughter.
We are getting younger.
Great blue whales, a snowman with a tail. Playful and pretentious, tired and tremendous. Precious and endless. Precious and endless. La 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 la.
want you to join the secret squadron and wear this official badge and have this secret decoder. Following each week's adventure, I'll send an important secret message, and only secret squadron members who have decoders can decode them.
Got decoders.
I'll give you a two-word clue. The second word is in our secret code. The first word is...
If I've learned anything in life, it's to be flexible.
Be strong. Don't let the mean ones get you down. Siempre hacia adelante.
You'll be all right, don't worry. Take care of each other.
Live your own life, not someone else's.
And be proud of your life.